Which South African stood out in the IPL 2023? That's a series that we're going to be doing in this channel. Now, we'll be doing it I'll have a certain structure that I'll be doing these shows. You guys asked me if I'll be covering the IPL. It's almost nearly impossible for me to be able to cover every single individual game of the IPL by myself. So that's not going to be happening. What we do on this channel, if you followed us for quite some time, you'll know that we cover all the South Africans that have taken part in this particular IPL, in IPLs of the past. We focus on the South Africans. This is a South African cricket channel. So that's what we do. So we will be highlighting the South African performances from matches 1 to 16 and talking about those particular performances, what they did, which one stood out, and what that means for South African cricket in general, particularly the future in South African cricket. So we're going to be doing this series. We're going to be blocking out each performance. We'll be telling you which matches we are going to be covering in the particular show that we are talking in, and that's what we're going to be doing with you guys. I'd also want you guys to also let me know in the live chat, super chat your questions, etc., and let me know what you thought and of this IPL so far, and which players stood out to you. If you want to mention some players from that are not South African that also really wowed you, then you can also let me know that in the live chat as well. But this is obviously particularly South Africans that stood out in the IPL 2023, and this show is particularly for matches 1 to 16. But before we get going with our analysis and our conversations that we'll be having, before we get going with all of those type of things, there's a couple of things that I'd like you guys to please do. Please subscribe to the channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, and share as well. And also, what I want you guys to please do is download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. Then I'd also like you to guys to please help me out by becoming a patron today. This is to help us grow and promote South African cricket. So please become a patron. The link is on the screen as well as in the description as well. Like I said, like, comment, and share. It's very important that you subscribe and like this channel, guys, because that's how we get to newer audiences. So please smash the like button when you guys do come on the show. And then go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all regular updates. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this. There's been a lot of IPL games, but not so many from a South African point of view. We'll be covering the specifics on the South Africans that have performed from matches 1 to 16 on this particular show. So let's get straight into today's video. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we're going to be talking about South Africans that stood out in IPL 2023 from matches 1 to 16. Now, there's been a couple of games that have taken place between some of the big franchises already, of course, all of the teams obviously playing, and there's obviously results that have come out from that, of course. Now, the South Africans that are in this particular IPL, it's Dwayne Pretorius from CSK, there's Faf du Plessis, RCB, Dwan Jansen, Mumbai Indians, Tristan Stubbs, MI, Deval Brevis, MI, David Visser, KKR, Heinrich Klaassen, SRH. But now David Visser is South African, but he's Namibian too. So I don't know. We threw him in here, his name in here because he's born in South Africa, but ultimately he's a Namibian player. Aiden Markram, SRH, Marco Jansen, SRH, Donovan Ferreira, RR, Riley Rousseau, DC, Anrich Nokia, DC, Lungingiri, DC, Kagiso Rabada, PBKS, or David Miller is GT, Quentin de Kock is LSG, Sanda Magala, CSK, and obviously Wayne Parnell as well in RCB. So those are the South Africans that we will be discussing on this particular show. And let's see what happens with regards to what happened with those particular matches. So which performances stood out? Now, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of matches that I think really South Africans that stood out, and it's kind of the same names that have been repeating themselves. and with a couple of bowlers maybe being a little bit different. Now, I'm going to throw on the screen right now a couple of the top run scorers, or the top run scorers that are um, in this particular series so far. I think I'm putting up the bowlers right now, so that you guys can have a look at what the bowlers have to say. But I think I'm going to start with, let me change this and start rather with the batters that have performed first. I think that's the ones that we really need to talk about first and foremost, because there's a guy a lot of us have been calling for. There's a guy that we all really love and adore, and that is Mr. Faf du Plessis. Now, as you can see on the thumbnail, Faf is on the thumbnail, of course, because he performed well in two particular matches. Now, that's very important to know, that in two matches, Faf du Plessis really stood out. Now, in the first match that he played against Mumbai Indians, he hit 73 of 43 balls, 5 4s, 6 6s. And that was in match 5 on the 2nd of April. And RCB ended up chasing down 172. And he was pivotal to that particular victory. As you can see on the screen right now, you can see his stats over there. Faf du Plessis 73 or 43 balls. Obviously, you can go ahead and click info and have a look at those stats if you want to look at it more in detail. I don't know if it has it. Oh no, it hasn't actually changed to the bowlers are on the screen right now. I don't know why. Let me just change that. Something weird's happening. Stop the screen over there. Let me just put on the new screen. Um, should be it should be this one. Don't know why it's not showing. There we go. Should be showing right now. Okay, cool. So Faf du Plessis, as you can see, 73. That was an excellent knock from him. He was fantastic in that match, finding the gaps in the fields, etc., and yeah, hitting massive sixes too. That was the big thing for me as well, is that he was leading from the front with Virat Kohli, and they look like an amazing partnership, the two of them. So that's an excellent performance from them. We've got Aditya with us on the line as well. He's going to be joining us too. Welcome to the show, Aditya. How's it going, bro? So we can. How are you doing first and foremost? It's been ages since we saw you.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while, eh? But yeah, I'm happy to be back, and apologies for the appearance. I just had a hair transplanted. Uh, oh, you mentioned
Okay,
Faf du
nice.
Plessis, so ask him. He knows how it feels. Uh,
Yeah. So how
but yeah,
was it, Aditya? Can you give us some insight into that? How was that?
yeah, it went quite well. Um, over 2 days, and part of the reason that I did it was because sort of genetically I've lost hair over a period of time, and COVID really accelerated that. So this was the time to do it, and I had a bit of a break from my PhD program at the
Hmm.
University of Leeds, so that gave me an opportunity to come back to India to get it done. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been following the IPL. Some great performances today. Andrew Nokia was outstanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been following quite keenly.
Yeah. So we'll get to Andrich. I want to talk about his particular performance specifically. But let's start first and foremost with Faf. I think it was an excellent performance from him in the first match. But not only in the first match, there was a second match too that he performed particularly well. The most recent one, actually, against it was against the Super Giants, where he scored 79 not out of 46 balls with 5 4s and 5 6s. And that included
Yeah.
115 meter six. He hit the ball out the stadium. He was fantastic. And it was quite shocking that they ended up not winning that match in the end. They only lost by 1 wicket. We went to the final ball. I mean, 212 for two is a fantastic performance from guys from RCB. So it was equally good performance from Super Giants as well. But let's just start off with Faf du Plessis. I mean, Aditya, he just keeps on getting better and better. What's your thoughts on him and how he's performed in this IPL? He's still there with us. I think Aditya is just reconnecting. Oh, cool. So Aditya, I just wanted to ask you what's your thoughts on Faf. He just seems like he's getting better and better. From you watching the IPL so far, what did you think about the way he's performed so far?
Yeah, I mean, this is vintage Faf du Plessis more. I don't know what to say. I think the other day there was a comment that if you look at Faf du Plessis at the peak of his career in terms of age, he was striking between 130 and 140, and now he's become 160 to 170 kind of player. Like yesterday, for example, he's striking at 172, and he's doing that remarkably consistently. So he's just getting better with age, and
Mm.
yeah, it's unfortunate that RCB were on the losing side yesterday. I think it's a story that we were quite familiar with because um, the Chinnaswamy is notoriously difficult to defend that. Given that the pitch is true in nature, and I think that's where I suppose I have some sympathy for all the years that RCB has spent without that title because they're probably the one team that simply cannot have a home advantage, and
Yeah.
I feel for them, but also this if we look at what Faf has been doing in the IPL, we also have to take into consideration that he's been remarkably consistent in the other tournaments that he plays as well. Whether it's the Big Bash or the Caribbean Premier League, the SA20, um, the 100. So he's pretty much set himself that target of playing 5 tournaments a year because it gives him just the right amount of cricket for him to always be in good form.
Mm. Now, another performance that I think is worth mentioning as well is Aiden Markram. I know he scored a 50 or anything, or he didn't score a massive score after getting a duck, of course, in the first match that he played. It was good to see that he recovered. I mean, 37 not out of 21 balls, 6 fours versus Punjab Kings on match 14. That was on 9 April. And they were chasing. So that's what made it more significant. Now, I mean, obviously, Gaikwad, um, someone like, not Gaikwad, sorry, who batted with him in that amazing knock? It was
Rahul
um,
Tripathi.
Tripathi. It was Tripathi, and that was a
Yeah.
fantastic performance from Tripathi. And it's good to see Aiden able to still give the strike to the guy that's in, and then still be as how can I say, effective with the bat to still be influential in the match winning performance and the chase.
Mhm.
So I think that was a
Yeah.
brilliant performance from Aiden Markram. Um, I mean, coming off the SRH, I mean, obviously the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, sorry, SREC, you could say, so the Sunrisers Eastern Cape's performance, winning the title, captaining that side. He's now taken over the captaincy at SRH. Your thoughts on the knock and the way he's captained the side so far? Have you been impressed with Aiden and the fact that he's been keeping up this momentum from South Africa, from SRH, etc., SREC, straight into this games on the IPL?
Yeah. So I think with Aiden, he's high on confidence because he's also scored, in addition to taking the Eastern Cape franchise to the title in the SA20. He's also scored a Test 100. He's also scored his maiden ODI 100, and he's captain um, of a major IPL franchise. So he's doing all the right things, and I'm very happy for him. With respect to what I've seen so far, again, very encouraging. And again, I think I'll be a bit patient with him because,
Mm,
in this day and age, when you're playing all 3 formats, it takes a little bit of time to adjust, when you're playing T20 for
yeah.
a long period of time. So, um,
Mm,
so I totally accept that first ball duck or whatever, and that's okay.
mm,
With respect to captaincy, so I think Aiden will continue to learn the ropes, because I think this is his third season at the IPL, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
He played half a season with Punjab, and he played uh, he played a season with SRH, where he did really well last year, and this year he returned as captain. So, look, I think in a major tournament like the IPL, for an overseas captain, it takes a little bit of time because there's always that much more pressure on the overseas player to justify that place in the team and also to lead the team well. So,
Mm.
yeah, so I'd give him time, I'd be patient with him, but having said that, he's done all the right things so far.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very happy with Aiden's form recently, and we're going to be obviously talking about him a lot more on this channel in the future. But let's go into the players that were actually the bowlers. I think they also have to be spoken about. There are a couple of talking points that I want to talk about with regards to this because when you look at the bowlers list over here and the players that have performed, although a lot of South Africans have bowled so far, none of them necessarily took wickets ultimately, other than Wayne Parnell, Marco Jansen, and obviously Andrich Nokia. Those are guys that have now performed really well for their respective franchises. I mean, Andrich Nokia, no wickets. I mean, only 2 wickets, I think it is so far in this particular tournament in 3 matches. But there's more than that I want to speak about. Let's just first start with Wayne Parnell in his first game. Um, I mean, 3 for 41 versus Super Giants, but they lost by 1 wicket in the end, and I think he was largely responsible for that. I mean, he only bowled 3 overs in that match, but those last 2 overs that he bowled went for a hell of a lot of runs. I mean, when he was sitting on when he, after his first over, which was brilliant. I think where he took those 2 wickets, obviously the double strikes. It was that for me. It was that second and third over that really mm, um, showed the inconsistency that I don't like from Wayne Parnell with regards to his bowling recently. He seems to not have gotten that death bowling or end of the innings bowling up to scratch and consistent. A lot of wide deliveries, a lot of balls going to the boundary, etc., and maybe some wides as well that he's been bowling. We saw similarities with him in the latest internationals that he played for South Africa too. So I was a bit concerned about that, but yes, taking wickets is also very important, of course. And he took 3 of them for 41. So what's your thoughts on Wayne so far? I know it's only his first match. We can't be too harsh on him, of course, because I mean, yeah, it's only his first match. So what's your thoughts on Wayne? And do you think it's a good signing
Fan-
by RCB ultimately?
Outstanding signing by RCB, and and I think an excellent debut. It's unfortunate that he wasn't on the winning side yesterday, but he bowled spectacularly well to put the Lucknow Super Giants under pressure. But then,
Hmm.
as the game goes on in Bangalore, so generally there is a trend that when the game starts at 7:30 odd, um, initially there might be that new ball advantage that the batting team might have, but then there is a period of time, about like in the middle overs when the pitch does start to get a little bit drier and slower, when it's not that easy to score, and then post 8:30 to 8:45, and from there on to the rest of the game, the pitch is really good to bat on, so it gets easier. But that's the trick with the 7:30 start. So if the game was starting at 8 p.m., it might be a totally different scenario that we're talking about. Uh, but having said that, look, even though the Lucknow Super Giants were under pressure after I think they were 23 for 3 and they ended up chasing 212, thanks to Nicholas Puran and Marcus Stoinis' heroics.
Hmm.
Look, I think Wayne Parnell did as good a job as he possibly could on that wicket, on that ground, against the unrelenting fury of two batters who were just possessed yesterday. So no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah. So a lot of this, we're going to be talking about players that only played their first game, whatever the case may be. Another person on this list for me is Marco Jansen. In the game that he did play, he bowled fantastically. I think 2 for 16. Um, it was a brilliant performance by him, and he really put pressure on the opposition, of course. And they I mean, he was fantastic, 2 for 16 in match 14 on the 9th of April, of course. He took one in his first over and then one in his second over, and he only bowled 3. But his accuracy was brilliant. The way he he made people struggle to get him away. Obviously, they didn't really hit him to the boundary until that last couple of balls of his last over. So, your thoughts on Marco? I mean, he's just growing with confidence in every format that he plays for South Africa, and now also in the IPL, looking a lot stronger. And I think it's also good to know that he has someone that he played under in South Africa in SA20, a captain that trusts him and knows him and understands him. So I feel that will help his development as well in the game. What's your thoughts on Marco so far?
Definitely outstanding player, and I've had the privilege of watching Marco Jansen live. Snapping up. I think it was in Virat Kohli, um, Anuj Rawat, and Faf du Plessis in quick succession. So, I've had the privilege of watching him live. He is fantastic, and he's only going to grow in confidence with exposure to the various T20 leagues that we talked about. Whether it's SA20 or IPL, and
Hmm.
to have him play under Aiden Markram is the added advantage because as you said, they know each other well, and he can be used in the way that he should be. So the other day when they played against the Punjab Kings, he really did wreck the top order, and it was a brilliant 99 from Shikhar Dhawan that got them to 143. But you take that innings aside, and the rest of the team basically made 44 runs. So that should tell you what the uh, what the impact of that bowling performance was.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about Marco, especially with the bat. I want to see him what he can do with the bat. Let's talk about Andrich. Andrich so far, I mean, it's not the I wouldn't say it's the best of starts for him with regards to the IPL. I mean, the Delhi Capitals seem to be struggling a little bit as well. But in the three matches that he's played, I mean, two for 39, he obviously got. But in one match. But today's performance, I know what I liked from him, and because we've been speaking about it for a very long time, we need players that can bowl at the death and players that can bowl Yorkers. Now, after going for over 20 odd in his first two overs, he came back brilliantly, and that's what I like about Anik Nokia is the fight back. He bowled a lot of full and wide deliveries, but also a lot of Yorkers in his second over, in his third over, sorry. But it was that final over that I was really impressed with him. Even though he couldn't defend the total on the board for his side, he still managed to bowl that last over and really make it difficult for the Mumbai Indians to be able to chase down the score that they needed. How impressed were you with his ability to nail those Yorkers at pace, Aditya? We're seeing more of that from Andrich Nokia, and it's going to be very good for South Africa in the future if he can continue that.
The consistency is remarkable. I mean, to take that game uh, as close as he did was a monumental effort. But more than that, I think we're talking about, unfortunately, with Delhi, what has happened is that back in the day, when KG and Andrick used to bowl together in a partnership, that was a formidable bowling attack, right? And at the time, you could see that teams would sort of want to play them out and attack the other bowlers, so it seemed a bit more threatening. But now what's happened is that there's no other express pace bowler in the Delhi Capitals lineup,
Mhm.
so Andrick basically has to shoulder that responsibility by himself. So Andrick may bowl a great over, but the team is then unable to sustain that pressure because at the other end, the other bowler is going for runs. So if you watch today at the beginning, I think in the first 3 overs, Mumbai had 42 runs, and
Yeah.
they pretty much smacked the living daylights out of Mukesh Kumar, uh, Mukesh Kumar, Mustafizur Rahman, and even Andrik. So
Hmm.
I think there's only so much you can do, and as important as batting partnerships are, bowling partnerships have that much value as well, because
Hmm.
again, like when you had the caliber of KG and Andrik bowling together in tandem, that really put pressure on oppositions. And Andrik is obviously he's become a better bowler now, but unfortunately he doesn't have that support at the other end.
Yeah. So, guys, that's basically our summary of all the players that performed so far in this particular match. Let's get into some of the live chats and see what you guys have to say. Jatan Hans saying Panal bowled nicely. Magala come back in the death. That was also very impressive. That's his strongest suit, though, Magala. I think his death bowling was always the thing that I thought really stood out from him. We're just waiting for him to do it more consistently for South Africa when he gets the opportunity. Tsepo,
But
back
also,
again. How's it,
sorry,
Khalid? Yeah, yeah. Sorry, go continue.
sorry. But we also have to credit MS Dhoni for the faith that he showed in Makala, because
Yes.
remember he's not really he's never played with Magala before, and he hasn't seen a lot of footage of Magala. Magala is still relatively new to the international scene, and after getting hit initially, it's very easy for a newcomer to be demoralized. But then that's where MS Dhoni's man management comes in,
Mhm.
and he says that we believe in you, and he gave him that opportunity to come back. So credit to MS
How
Dhoni
I've
there as
missed
well.
I've missed your analysis, Aditya. How I've missed it, bro. So Tsepo, how's it, Khalid? Sorry, it's been so long. When I say saw Magala got stubs at his first IPL wicket, it was such a catch-22. Will Faf be back for SA? Any update? So the latest update that we got is that conversations are being had with Faf to proceed. There's also this free agency thing that's going around that where they might be getting contracts for certain players that are T20 specialists, etc. Those conversations are ongoing. I mean, I can see it. I mean, I've been very critical of one particular player in South Africa's lineup, and that's Riley Rostow, because I believe the number three position should be consistent. Your number three should be consistently getting you runs. I don't like this that you have two players in the top three that are inconsistent. You got Quinny de Kock, and then you've got also Riley Rostow. Your two most X factor players are inconsistent. So you could possibly, in my opinion, play Faf and Quinny at the top of the order and play Riza Hendricks at three, for example, who is more consistent. And he has been consistent. And I don't think dropping Riza Hendricks to three is a massive change for him. I think that he is capable of being able to play that role for South Africa as well, because he can bat deep. But you also don't want to mess up a good partnership that both with regards to Riza Hendricks and Quinton de Kock, they've been looking really good together at the crease. But conversations have been had from CSA's perspective. Let's see what happens. I don't know. Some people don't want to disrupt the current setup, and with Deva Brevis on the brink of maybe getting a call up, as the next number three for South Africa. Do you really want to go with a guy that's almost 40 to play? I mean, he is in phenomenal form. So I think for one World Cup, it wouldn't really harm us that much. What do you think on Faf returning to South Africa? DJ, do you think it's a must for South Africa, or can you see both sides?
I can see both sides. The the trouble is that how many players in South Africa, okay, if taking age into consideration,
Mm,
can bat regularly at a strike rate of 170?
mm.
And the truth is, there
It's
aren't
not
too
many.
many. I
Yeah.
mean, even Quinton de Kock, for that matter, is he striking at 170 regularly? He's not. I mean, here with 170, with a consistent strike rate of 170, we're talking AB de Villiers kind of numbers. That's
Hmm.
what AB de Villiers used to do, and this man is doing it now. So I can understand that it's not a long term solution and all of these things, but you sit down with the stats and you look at past performances over the last 2 years. It's I don't know if there are too many players who are around the world even who are doing as well as he is. I mean, like he's striking his fast numbers in terms of strike rate even are are better than like Virat Kohli and Maxwell and all of these guys, and he's doing it with
Yeah.
consistency. So it's not like uh, he's scoring 30 or 15 balls. He's not doing that.
Mhm.
He's scoring 75 plus.
Yeah. It's
So
it's incredible to watch you play. I mean, he's revolutionized this T20 game completely. Like I never thought that he'd become such a massive T20 superstar when I first saw him come through the system in South African cricket. It really is an amazing thing that he's done. Virat and Faf feels like Faf is a surrogate AB, says Tippo with a smiling face. I'm definitely keeping an eye on Markram for that reason. Ungamas, he was 33 or 31 at one point, though. Doesn't really matter when
Yeah,
when your partner at the other end is striking as well, really well, and doing majority of the hitting.
yeah, yeah. So Ungama, I understand where you're coming from, and there was some criticism of it as well. My only counter to that is my only counter to that is that ultimately we're talking about players who. So let's say if Faf had played a shot, had played a shot, and he got out on 33, right? 33 or 32. The conditions on the ground at the time would not have made it any easier for a new batter to come in and start striking straight away. So we're talking about the trade-off between a player
Mm,
who was striking at 100 at that point
yes.
and a new player who would also be striking at 100 at that time because in those middle overs, pitch conditions were challenging. And
Yeah.
if Lucknow had batted first, they would have had the same challenges.
Yeah.
So,
And that's something people forget is that conditions tell a massive story when it comes to analyzing games and analyzing performances. And I always speak about
yeah.
it on this channel. I say the conditions are so important. Sadiq says both Quinton and KG poster boys of Proteas are on the bench in the IPL. This shows the dipping consistency of both players. I agree with him over there
No.
100%. I do agree with him there because I think I don't know what the reasons are for them not playing. Richard, do you have any some insights into that
Yeah.
from
So
your
I think
perspective?
with with Quinton, there's a fitness issue as well. Uh,
Oh, okay.
so apparently he's not 100% fit, and um, the other thing is that his Kyle Mayers, who replaced him as the opener, he he opens the batting as well, and he is also the opening bowler for the team. And
Mhm,
you can't really play Quentin de Kock in the middle order because they already have Nicholas Puran, who's a wicket keeper there. So
mhm.
it's
It's going to be difficult to fit him in, do you think?
I so I think as the tournament goes on, like virtually every commentator, every pundit has said that Quentin de Kock needs to be in that team. There's no question about
Hmm.
it. It's just that how do you fit him in? Because in order to do like you can't take Nicholas Puran out. Like he
No, you
just scored
can't.
what 60 of 18 balls. There's no way you can
And
take
he's
him out.
coming with brilliant
You know
form as well internationally as well. So,
exactly. Marcus Stoinis, all rounder, gives you four
yeah,
overs with the ball. You know, does crazy things with the bat. Same with Carl Mayers. He can give you four overs with the ball, and he's an opening batter. So the question is, how do you and you have Mark Wood, who's bowling at 150
yeah.
consistently.
Your
So how do
four
you
internationals.
possibly
Yeah,
fit him in? It's difficult.
it's crazy.
Um,
It's crazy. The
and
IPL, the amount of talent in the IPL. Wow.
and it's the same with KG because you're talking about if KG would have to come and he'd have to replace Nathan Ellis, and Nathan Ellis has been brilliant so far. So I think he took a 5 wicket haul the other day. So
Yeah.
you know that's a tough one.
So, so Sadiq has a question for you, Aditya. He says, I have a question for Aditya. ESPN Cricket Info shared schedule of Indian domestic season, which will run from July to March, plus IPL in April and May. My question is, when do these guys have the off season?
Fantastic question, Siddiqui. That's also my question
It's
because
crazy.
I mean I don't understand. Is like does the ICC do the ICC BCCI do they have? I mean I don't know. Are they producing players from OpenAI and ChatGPT? I don't know because this is insane. I mean, you look at Jasprit Bumrah. Jasprit Bumrah has not played competitive cricket since September last year.
Yeah. I miss watching him bowl
Do you,
actually.
exactly like do you really want to miss out on having that talent play on for as long as possible? So no, I mean it's an insane schedule, and I think the same applies to the domestic calendar. It applies to the domestic season in India. It applies to the IPL. The schedule is just unrelenting, and it's simply not healthy because we're expecting certain players to play three formats, and then when they
Yeah.
don't perform across the three formats, we want them to be dropped.
Yeah. So
So
we've just got a couple of more comments over here in the live chat. We've got Tinku saying, "Stop IPL. Tell me when SA's next Test series." I'm not going to listen to you telling me to stop, so I'm not going to stop talking about it. But I'll tell you when the next Test series is. It's at the end of the year against India in South Africa. So on our usual time period for South African cricket in the December January, that's when the next Test series will be. Will Magala's fitness be trusted as in World Cup? There will be continuing so many games and he will have to bowl 10 overs. Um, he's passed his fitness test. He's so I mean that's why he's playing for South Africa. So I know you guys might be making certain assumptions based on the way he looks or maybe the way he comes across with regards to his body type. He's quite a big lad, if I'm going to say it politely. But he's passed his fitness test, so he should be able to be fit enough to be able to bowl all those overs that you guys are requesting. Amit saying can't see any substitute option to bat at number 5 and 6 in case Klaas and Miller get injured. Is there anyone in the picture? Now I'm waiting for an opportunity for Stubbs to raise his hand. I thought that this IPL might have been the time for him to do so. Played one match, didn't play well, and then got dropped the next game. So I wonder what's going to happen with regards to him. He's another case of an international that's going to struggle to find a place. I think in the inside with the amount of talent that my Cape Town Mumbai Indians have. So really saying my Cape Town here that Mumbai Indians have. So it's going to be a tricky one, Aditya. Is there anybody else you see in that role? Because there is a guy that people have been calling for in George Linder, but he's currently playing county cricket. So he's not in this IPL. He hasn't been playing T20 cricket. He's not playing any T20 cricket around the world, other than he played one particular tournament recently. Can't remember what it was. It was either I think it was the Bangladesh Premier League that he played in. But anyway, so from South Africa's point of view, there aren't many. I was hoping that Stubbs would raise his hand. For a guy like Stubbs at his age, I mean, he's quite a youngster. Um, for them to go to the IPL, or him to go to the IPL so young, I know it's an amazing experience off the field, but if he's not getting game time, I mean, how does that really, you know, um, help him in from that perspective? I mean, he hasn't been in the best of form, Aditya. How does a player like him that is always called upon to try and get winning runs and to smack the ball from ball one? How does a player like him settle if he's not getting game time?
yeah, look, I think it's challenging to be in the playing 11, for any IPL team, right? And I think it would. But the one thing that I can say about the IPL environment is that um, I think there's a lot of support for for someone who is looking to evolve his game. And you look at the
Hmm.
people in that support staff. You have Boucher's coach. You have Kyron Pollard as your batting coach. You have Kyron Pollard. I mean, he's batting coach at the IPL, but he's smoking sixes himself in the
Yeah.
International T20 League in Dubai. So, you know, there couldn't be much better exposure there, right? And you have Sachin Tendulkar as a mentor. So, so I think his game will
Incredible.
grow. Um, but, the decision to be in a level at any given time is more of it's a tactical decision more than anything else, and
Yeah.
ultimately like the four overseas player rule does sort of restrict that bit. So I mean, can you imagine like today, Tim David was not in the playing 11, and
Mm.
he was sort of considered to be the successor to Karen Pollard. So um, yeah, so I guess the patience game is there, but yeah, look, I think for Stubbs and for Brevis, I would not be uh, particularly discouraged. Um, this is an opportunity for both individuals to to grow their game, because when the management knows that they're ready to play in all games in the playing 11, they will feature.
Yeah, so guys, I mean, I think we've summed it up nicely on this particular show. Aditya, thanks for coming on. We'll be doing more of this. I'm going into the later stages of the IPL. I mean, not every single night we'll be talking about the IPL. I'll mention it on the shows that we do, but I'm trying to theme our shows and talk about South African cricket. I know it's the off season right now. It's difficult for me to come up with topics, but let me know in the live chat what you'd like me to talk about, and maybe we can put one of those as our main show for the daily show. But before we get going, before we leave, I just want you guys to please subscribe to this channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, do a couple of things for me. Download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. The latest issue is about the new era in South African cricket, so please go and look at some excellent insight from coaches, players, etc. Also, if you want to help us grow and promote South African cricket, become a patron today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And smash the like button, comment, and share to help us get into other people's community and grow our community and get into other audiences' feeds. Please help us do so. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. We will be doing our kind of wraps of the South Africans. It's like a Safa's watch that we'll be putting up when any South African stands out and really performs. We'll be highlighting that in a little article on the website. Either myself or Abai will be doing so. So please go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for those updates too. Aditya, thanks a lot for watching and coming. I mean, Aditya, thanks a lot for coming on the show, and all the fans out there, thanks a lot for watching. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Stay safe, take care, peace, everybody.